Last week, Oba Femi dropped Brock Lesnar. This week, Brock came out looking to get that aura back, and somehow Oba still made him look vulnerable. Becky Lynch turned her issue with AJ Lee into something a lot more personal. Seth Rollins ended up in handcuffs after Paul Heyman pushed him too far. Finn Balor reminded Dominik Mysterio that payback does not wait for permission. And by the time the show went off the air, Roman Reigns had driven CM Punk through a table and left Boston with the final image of the night. This was not a subtle episode of Raw. It was loud, little emotional, overly chaotic, and at a few points completely ridiculous. But during WrestleMania season, that kind of energy works. Welcome to the Tea Drop, where obviously the brew is always strong and the behavior is rarely soft. Brock Lesnar wanted control back, but Oba Femi made him look shaky all over again. Raw opened with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, and the mission was obvious. WWE wanted to remind everybody who Brock is after Oba Femi planted him last week. Paul ran through Brock's legacy, the list of names he has destroyed, and the idea that nobody truly conquers Brock Lesnar. The message was clear. Last week was supposed to feel like a lucky break for Oba, not the start of something bigger. Then Oba walked out. The lights dropped, the lasers hit, and Oba came to the ring looking completely unbothered. Brock tried to jump him early, almost had him, tried to get the control back immediately, but somehow Oba slipped free and sent him over the top rope. That was the whole segment right there. Brock came out to repair his myth, the myth of the Beast Incarnate. But unfortunately, Oba came out and made the damage feel even more real. That is what made this work so far for Raw, and especially for this feud between these two. WWE is no longer teasing Oba Femi as someone with potential. They are presenting him like somebody who can stand across from Brock Lesnar and not look out of place. That is a big step, and it made the WrestleMania match feel bigger, badder, and crazier. The tag match between the Usos and Division that came right after was chaotic, but Jey Uso felt like the real story here because he still looked a little unhinged because of the whole CM Punk situation. But anyway, to the match. The Usos against Austin Theory and Logan Paul was kind of a match where the action was fine, but the mess around it mattered more. There was interference, an exposed turnbuckle, brass knucks, LA Knight showing up, and eventually a DQ finish. So yes, this was one of those classic wrestling matches where everybody involved seemed legally allergic to solving problems in a normal way in the ring. Instead, they just went everywhere else. What stood out more was Jey Uso. He did not feel focused at all, and you can see it in him. He felt angry, reckless, and ready to make every bad decision available. Jimmy felt like the one trying to keep things together, while Jay felt like the one dragging the whole night towards disaster, foreshadowing. That tension ended up meaning more later, especially once Roman got involved. And we'll get to that. Becky Lynch and AJ Lee finally made this feud feel personal between them two. Becky Lynch came out sounding bitter in the best possible way. She talked about stepping away for 10 months, not 10 years, and still feeling like the fans were more excited to welcome AJ Lee back than acknowledge everything Becky has done so far. She framed herself as the woman who made their Intercontinental Championship matter and the one who carried the weight while AJ got to return with instant nostalgia attached. The strongest part of the segment was when Becky made it personal. She talked about hearing her daughter sing AJ's song and idolize AJ at home. That was the moment the feud shifted. It stopped being about simple title drama and became about Becky feeling like AJ has taken space in her career and even in her personal life and in her daughter's mind. Kind of similar to the whole John Cena and Kevin Owens feud when Kevin Owens first started coming in the main roster, but neither here or there. AJ's response was direct, which helped. She came out, called Becky embarrassed, and made it clear she was ready to beat her at WrestleMania. Becky's answer, saying WrestleMania is her stage and AJ disappeared the last time she was near it. That was a really strong line. More than anything, this segment finally gave the feud some emotional weight on our way to Vegas. So we'll see how this goes, but it's getting built up a little better. but we need to keep going. Javon Evans keeps looking like somebody WWE should take seriously. Javon Evans beating Grayson Waller was another reminder that Javon does not blend in. It is not just that he is athletic. Plenty of wrestlers are athletic. It is the way he moves around the ring, the confidence he has, the unapologeticness that he has, and how naturally he makes difficult things look good. He feels different, and that's amazing. Waller did his job, though. Kofi being around added a little extra to it, but Javon was the takeaway. Every time he gets a spotlight, he gives you another reason to think WWE should already be looking at him as more than just a flashy young talent. But we'll see. I don't think he'll have something at WrestleMania match-wise, but maybe he'll show up for another thing. I hope so, for the sake of the fans. Next, Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins gave us one of the strangest segments of the show, and it still worked. Paul Heyman went to the ring looking like a man who finally realized he had run out of protection. Pretty much all the muscle from the Vision is gone. And if you count Logan Paul, it's not all gone. Anyway, he talked about having nobody left to hide behind, and the whole segment made it feel like his world was closing in. Seth Rollins was still out there somewhere, and Paul knew it. Then the segment turned into pure wrestling nonsense. Seth appeared in disguise, as always, Putty Patrol style. Seth appeared in disguise. The reveal happened. Police got involved, and the real twist was that Paul had filled a restraining order. Honestly, that is such a Paul Heyman move that it was perfect. What made it work is that Paul did not stop once he had the advantage. He kept talking, trash talking on top of that. He kept pushing. He kept saying just enough to make sure Seth would eventually snap. When Seth finally got through and hit him, it felt inevitable. Seth got dragged out in handcuffs. Paul got to laugh in the corner, and both characters got exactly what they needed. The fact that he started talking about when he's gone, that Paul will take care of Becky and his daughter, which made him Seth snap again. But Paul's going to full lengths, and I don't know what he thinks is going to happen. But I don't think restraining order will help him that much, but we'll see. Paul Heyman looked manipulative and disgusting as always. Seth looked completely ruled by rage. We'll see how this fits in WrestleMania, but I doubt Paul Heyman is wrestling, but obviously I think everyone knows that. But we move on to the women's tag division. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria beating the Kabuki Warriors was solid, but the bigger point was that the women's division actually felt active. Bayley and Lyra got momentum. Asuka and Kairi had more frustration bubbling in their group. Io stepped in. Raquel showed up angry. There were several issues moving at once, and that is better than a division that only wakes up. When a title match gets announced, it did not have to be perfect. It just had to be alive, and it did. Chaos as always. We'll see. Backstage, few segment happens, but the ones that you probably want to be known about is that ISO Speeds showed up this Monday night, and he's dapping it up with Penta. He hangs out with Penta. Penta's teaching him how to do the Penta walk. Then out of nowhere, Danhausen appears. Danhausen asks Speed about how he gets so many followers. Danhausen pitches a YouTube show with him, but Speed, because he's a busy guy and he has other projects going, he just turns him down. So as obviously, Danhausen curses him.
You are cursed!
Which actually, if you pay attention to ISO Speed's his YouTube streams throughout the week, things happen that, once again, people think, oh, it's because of Danhausen. Danhausen actually has cursed you. So maybe there's a bigger storyline for these guys, including Danhausen, in the future. But anyway. Another segment that happens is Asuka continues blaming Kairi for their loss and storms off. Io Sky appears. Io Sky shows that although they had their ups and downs, she sees that Kairi doesn't deserve to be treated like that. And she tries to console her. But then as soon as they lock each other in the eyes, I guess, Asuka yells, and obviously Kairi storms off to meet with her. An interesting segment, but we'll see what happens going forward. Penta kept the title for this match coming up between him and Dominik, but what's important in this match is that Finn Balor stole the moment. Penta versus Dominik Mysterio had a lot of happening around it. The first thing that happens is Liv Morgan was involved, and Stephanie McIntyre attacks her. JD got involved later throughout this whole thing, but Dom, as usual, tried to survive, more importantly, through the distraction and chaos and focus on his match. But that all changed when Finn Balor shows up. His music hits while they were having this match, which at this point, the match between Dominik and Penta is secondary to this whole feud with Finn. This is just to help Penta show his dominance, I guess, at this point. But it was, again, all about the Finn and Dominik storyline. But once Finn came out, the match stopped being about Dominik chasing the title, and it became about Dominik trying to escape the consequences of his own actions towards Finn Balor. He shows up, but then JD tries to protect him. Finn went after DJ. Dom lost focus. Obviously, Penn capitalizes, and the champion retains. Afterwards, Finn kept the pressure on while Dom ran. That was the strongest part of this segment. Penta stayed champion, and Finn came out of it feeling more dangerous than ever. To what level he's going to become dangerous, we'll have to find out. CM Punk talked in the middle of the ring as part of the last segment. He talks about Roman Reigns, and he talks about it to a point that it gets violent. And Roman, in this whole segment, made sure that he owned this ending. This closing segment gave CM Punk a live microphone, as always, which usually means somebody's going to get cut open verbally before the physical part even starts. Punk mocked Roman for always needing help and mocked the bloodline for always needing each other. Then he took Roman, calling him old, and turned it into a badge of honor. Punk basically said age is not the insult Roman thinks it is. That brought out Jey Uso and Jimmy, of course, who already felt unstable earlier in the show when they had their tag match. And Jimmy followed, as I said, with Jey because Jimmy spent the whole night trying to stop Jey from making everything worse. Then Roman came out, and the entire energy of the area shifted. Roman does not need many words in moments like that. He just needs to be there. Once things broke down, Roman handled it fast. He Superman punched, spear, he hit CM Punk in a ring post. And this was all after he was cool and collective, but then Jey Uso instigated him to go harder. Like Jay's the one directing what to do, which was kind of weird. But I guess we can say that is Jay reminding him more what Roman truly is. A little callback, I guess. Anyway, Roman hits CM Punk at the ring post, then eventually he powerbombs him through the announcer's table. That gave Roman the exact closing image WWE wanted. But Punk laughing afterwards was the detail that made the segment stronger. Roman hurt him, but did not break him. That laugh kept Punk from looking finished and made the feud feel even more dangerous going forward. This was not a perfect Raw, but it was a productive one. Oba Femi looked like a real threat. Becky, Lynch, and AJ Lee finally found some emotional edge. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman gave us the segment that was ridiculous in theory, but entertainment in execution. Finn Balor kept the issue with Dominik alive in a smart way, and Roman Reigns, as always, closed the night, looking like the biggest force on the show. The episode was messy, but it was messy with WWE purpose all behind it. During WrestleMania season, that is sometimes exactly what Raw needs to be, maybe. Now, as always, I want to hear from you. Who came out of this Raw looking the strongest? Oba Femi, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, or Roman Reigns? Let me know in the comments. And did Roman standing tall at the end make CM Punk look weak? Or did Punk laughing through all that damage actually makes him look even tougher? Maybe crazier? Drop your takes in the comments because that's where the real debate happens after this show. Strong brew, no soft behavior. Thank you guys for joining us at this Raw talk. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.